Hi everyone. It's been a while. Just noticing a speck in my hair. I used Indian hemp in my hair today. Um, it was gifted to me by a client. Um, so this is the thing that's been happening. I have been spiraling because the place I was given in Leipzig, I was informed by the person I was subletting from that I needed to exit the premises in about 5 days from when she mentioned it. Then she took the keys, handed them back in. So it's a student apartment. So I was basically stuck. Like I felt stuck. So she kept insisting, like, oh yeah, if you ring the bell downstairs, someone will open for you. And people do that because if it's a shared flat, people do that. But people really underestimate the power of taking away someone's agency, taking away someone's ability to plan, ability to feel confident in making a decision, and all that stuff. And as I sat there on my bedroom floor thinking, but I just got this in late July. Like this was supposed to be my place for 6 months. This was supposed to be my new beginning after my breakup. This was supposed to be my fresh start. Mark you, I got a termination letter that week. I also got notified that someone I care about very deeply was getting sent away for a very long time. And my health was also not great because I've been feeling off, just you feel off, just cold and tired and all these things. And yeah, so I can tell my anemia is back because like my hands were really pale. I mean, I'm better now, but like, man, my hands were pale. I was cold and the temperatures are dropping. So seasonal affective disorder, the depression is coming back. And sometimes it's the anxiety about the anxiety. If you know, you know. And even my energy today is different because like the minute it starts raining and it's cold outside, I'm not the same person. So here I am, just asking God, the universe, literally everyone I could gather to this meeting without asking. I didn't sit down and actually have chair therapy as I usually do when I feel like I'm in crisis. I was just like, what is this? Like, I remember telling my friends, you go pray and tell Jesus I'm not one of his foot soldiers. I have no more strength left. And then there are a few people who'd wanted to join my program, like potential clients who wanted to join in October, and then I didn't reach out to them. I actually reached out to some of them and then there was no feedback, and then I didn't reach out to the others because I thought patient goes to doctor, not the other way around. Because I've gone to a place where I'm so tired of knocking on doors that I've stopped knocking on them. And every time I hear people say, like my new client tells me, oh, like you the way you are, you've learned German, you're almost done with school, you have some networks, you've co-founded an organization, like you're going to do incredibly well here. And I'm like, when? I'm waiting. It's been a while since. And I'm just tired. My thesis is very triggering, so this is where I'm at. I have like, let's say roughly 18 pages of like the whole outline, like the topics and the subtopics that I'd like to cover or that I'm covering, and links, like where I'm citing things, and that's it. I haven't, like, any chunks of text are copy pasted as they are because I'm like, some of the stuff is so good. I want to quote it word for word. And then, as is the case with every daunting task in ADHD brain, you ask, so where should I begin? Literally, like Esther Perel's podcast, where am I supposed to begin with this? And I know where I should begin. It's just I haven't had a chance to exhale. So today, I got this. It felt like a talk down from my boss in Berlin, and this is someone I work for. Like, he sends me off to clients, and I get to, go clean, do meal prep, etc. Because it's apartments, right? Like, these are spaces people don't trust everyone with, but because I'm coming with his name and he's a trusted name and he's lived in Germany longer than I have and has good networks, I basically, every time I walk, I pick I pick a phone to call someone who's been referred to me or I've been referred to. Every time I reply a text, or I've been told, oh, this one prefers to chat on WhatsApp, or this one prefers to calls. And by the way, I'm not saying this because there are like 12 of them. They're just a handful, and by a handful I mean not more than 3. Every time it's you're navigating different people with different tastes and different preferences, and there's a lot of masking there. There's a lot of masking because you're one person with this one, because this one is like America educated, and then this one is from West Africa, and this one is from East Africa, and then this one is from Germany born and raised, and then this one is from Africa, but East Africa raised in wherever, and then came to Germany. Like, it's such a dance of cultures. It's that those who are more open to trying things and they welcome you bringing your own spices because they're curious. Then there are those who just want you to use what they have, or they think they want you to use it. And then I expected a payday this week, and then it didn't happen. And I'm disappointed in myself for not advocating for myself and being clear in saying, oh, I expect to be paid for this, I hope to be paid for this, or whatever. Because there are times when, especially when you work off of barter trade, and I've been experiencing this a lot with even my business networks, where I'm like, where do we draw the line in the sand? Like, where does it end? So for instance, like when I barter trade and I say, you give me financial advice and I give you nutrition advice, or you teach me coding and then I teach you nutrition, like health coaching, like I coach you on health. Like, how do we determine the financial value of my time and your time? Also, for instance, I know, like, if you're teaching me coding or programming, there's a rate that you charge per hour. Then let's say you say, okay, you'll match my rate so that it's fair, because I literally cannot afford to pay, I don't know, 50 euros an hour, because I'm not paid that. Maybe I'm paid, hypothetically, I'm paid half. So you choose to match, and then at some point, what happens if you're teaching me more code than I am doing meal prep for you? Then I start to feel indebted. And I know myself, when I start to feel indebted, I overcompensate. Like, that's when I show up to your house early, and then I clean. And then you're like, no, it's okay, you don't have to. But because in my mind, I am matching a number. And I can't turn it off, you guys. I'm not sat here saying this because I want you to sit there thinking, oh my gosh, she's such a good woman. And, well, actually, that's not what I'm looking to have you think. But I have a very good work ethic. Like, in my head, I like to keep it honest when it comes to people's time, money, skills, especially for consultants, because I'm a consultant and I know how frustrating it can be for people to sort of glean important health coaching lessons from you in a free talk and then try and extend that into something else. So, like, tonight I blocked someone who just, I feel, asks and says the most ridiculous, upsetting, exhausting things. I've noticed, correct me if I'm wrong, that when we are helping people from home, and I mean from home meaning if you're a Kenyan and you're helping another Kenyan, you kind of treat this person differently than if they were, or from how you treat a person from another culture, especially another race. So I had beef with someone this week. I went on a Bumble date and I decided to just, mute the notifications because on the one hand, I don't know who likes me for me and because they don't know me. So obviously they just like the picture they saw of this pretty girl with glossy lips and nice sexy glasses. And I guess I give off sexy student. I've been told very interesting things. Sexy student vibes. Because I look young for my age, which is a compliment, but there are times when I do wish I looked my age so I wasn't hit on by like teenagers, for instance, or people in the early 20s. But I digress. I meet this Bumble person. This is someone raised in Germany and is white. And they make a joke. And the minute they make the joke, they realize what they've done and they apologize where the damage is done. And it was in reference to, I had asked them to, they asked, so they were aware of the fact that I was out of, like, I didn't have a place to stay. And I'm at the train station. I have money on my account, but I'm at the platform and cell reception is poor. And I'm asking this person whether they can purchase a ticket for me. But first, give me your bank details. I pay you. Then you purchase a ticket for me so that I don't just get on the train and say, oh gosh, it slipped my mind. So I tell them I want to pay them first before they purchase the ticket for me so that I don't get on this train in 11 minutes without the ticket, because when you find the cost of the ticket plus I think it's €60 fine, which is a lot of money for someone who makes roughly that in a day. Tell me why this person made a joke like, oh, when I told them it's okay, I've resolved the issue, because it took such a while, to just handle it, because cell reception is poor when you're on a moving train. And then he's like, so you don't need any money from me? And I'm like, no, I don't. And I didn't. Like, I didn't need money. I needed the ticket purchase. Then I pay you. And then he says, without missing a beat, because I hope, I'm not hoping to be your sugar daddy. You understand? Or is it So I told him, oh, you don't have to worry about that. I don't spend men's money. And he said, oh, I know that. I already know that you're such a strong person and I admire it. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have made that joke. It was, it was a bad joke or whatever. So, of course, I'm in a foul mood after that. And I can see him scrambling to like make jokes and be nice and whatever, but the mood is foul. So I call up a friend I had been meaning to talk to who's dating outside the race. And I had told her, like, it's not my vibe. If it's for you, good. If it's not for me. And I rant about how that made me feel. And she gave me some very useful tips and some cultural cues and how, oh, by the way, babe, this isn't how they all are. And they're actual people who are actual human beings out here, in spite of growing up here. And I told her, but I've noticed those Germans who've left Germany and traveled, especially in Asia, Africa, India, have a different vibe. They're warmer, they're more chill about certain things. Because again, when we went on our first date with this person, I offered to pay for my dinner and he said, no, it's okay. And for the second, we went indoor rock climbing, which I had suggested. So I paid for myself. He invited me for dinner for the first one. And I was like, in my head, by the way, I made a mental note of what I ordered and how much it was. I never meet anyone, not a friend, not a man, not anyone, if I don't have an equivalent and more. Like, what my mother taught me is when you go out on a date, you have enough money to cover your meal, your drink. If you need an extra drink, like you guys are having a good time, you want to buy a coffee or go out for a coffee elsewhere, and a taxi home in case it rains, in case there are no matatus, there's no public transport. That's how I think of dates. This is how I thought of dates at the age of 20. So when I confronted this person, it was the next day. I mean, I was like, oh yeah, I was pleasant, I was civil. And then she told me, said, friend, you need to let him know and shut that down quick, nip it in the bud. And she said, not just for you, but in case he chooses to be on a date with another black woman, like there are lines he needs to know he should not cross. And why? Again, why is the onus on us? But you know what? We do what we can. So I I let him know. I'm like, by the way, I hit reply to the message because we're chatting on some new platform. Um, and I let him know, hey, I this really bothered me, by the way. And I didn't want to like bring it up, then like fight it out. You see, I was tired, I was irritable, I was really pissed off. And I didn't want to bring it up then, well, in the heat of the moment. I wanted to think about it, see what I may have done wrong, consult with other people, and see whether I wasn't like, but clearly this was living rent free in my head. I inform him, he's like, I realized it the minute I said it, please. And he says, and because I speak German, I understood what he was saying, even though the words were not the ones I would have picked in English. He says, please don't judge me based off of this statement. It was a bad joke and I regretted it the minute I said it. And I've been regretting it since I said it because, he could sense. The upside of being with older men is they can tell when things are bad. But also, ladies, warning, do not for a second think just because he's 7, 10, 12 years older than you that he is mature. Maturity and age, two different things. I am learning that painful lesson now that I'm getting back into the dating pool. When women say it is skimmed milk in a petri dish left out at ambient temperature for 3 days, they are onto something. It's a jungle out here. So then I meet someone else who's interesting, and when I say interesting, I just mean that like they're just an interesting person, and I get talking to them, and they're into coding, programming, etc. And we hit it off, and we have so much in common. We both love music, and there's karaoke, and I introduced my friend to him, and they hit it off as well. And I'm like, oh my goodness! So she's in medicine, I'm in nutrition, lifestyle change, blah blah blah. He's in coding. Let's just call it coding. He's a coder, and she and I, me and the medic who are doing the same master's program, she's a cohort behind me. Of course, I've fallen behind. And I don't mind. Please don't write in the comment section, there's no such thing as falling behind. Everything has its own time and everyone is on their own path. I know this. It's also okay to just say you've fallen behind because most of my classmates are graduating, etc., or are about to. So I meet this and we hit it off and the conversations are good and whatnot and we stay in touch. Now I still have a client relationship with this person, even though now it's crossed over to friendship. And then we start talking about gender issues. And I literally got a migraine. And this is why. Because I realize, and I hate to be right about this, and this is a hasty generalization, so you're going to come after me, it's fine. There's a certain amount of privilege that men have that they don't even seem to realize they have until we call attention to it. When I ask basic questions like, when's the last time you were afraid of getting raped? When's the last time you were afraid of the person walking behind you? When was the last time you felt afraid for your safety at 6 p.m. before the sun had gone down? When's the last time you walked into a train, a tram, a bus, and you thought, I don't see any women in here? Mark, you in Germany, we don't usually hear of women getting raped on buses. But because it's happened to another woman somewhere in the world, and France is a short 11 hours from here, and we know what happened in France, where a husband, literally had men, including neighbors, next door neighbors, come and rape his drugged wife for a period of at least 10 years. These are like 672 men. Who are these men? A nurse, I don't know if it was a lawyer in there or an advocate. I don't know who was there. I'm mentioning lawyer advocate because the person who I had non-consensual sex with is an actual lawyer, and he's studied abroad. Someone who went to Pittsburgh University and aligns himself as a feminist ally, and has done this more than once and gotten away with it. And even the one who groomed me for a year studied medicine, has traveled, is in tech, health architecture or something. And I'm just sat here thinking, even men who have moms and sisters whom they love are so removed from issues that when I tell them marital rape, gender-based violence, FGM are still current issues even in the West amongst white women, they're like, maybe for our father. And I'm like, maybe for our fathers, maybe for our mother, maybe for our mothers and their mothers. Like, when's the last time you read a book on current issues written by a woman, an article even, while you're browsing LinkedIn? When is the last time you went to the internet? After I've told you something like this, you called yourself to a meeting and decided, my cis het male privilege is showing, and just Googled, somewhere between the TikTok videos and the memes. Because the funny thing is, so many of the guys who I have talked to, and I've talked to quite a few, and literally age range is like from 20 all the way up to 77. And these are men from Africa, and I've already repeated this, mostly West and East Africa, but also South, living and working South Africa. And like, I've talked to men from different parts of the world, Canada, the US, from Africa living abroad, who've been abroad all their lives, etc., like Germany. I've talked to men from other parts of Europe, like Italy. And I listen to them and I realize they're in a bubble of male privilege, protecting it because they benefit from the patriarchy, and the things happening to women don't harm them or scare them enough to get them out of this bubble, even when they have sisters and daughters. I feel bad for myself that I am attracted to men. I really do. And at this point, I'm doing this whole, I need to get on a proper man cleanse because I am running out of patience. I lay on the floor crying my eyes out after I listened to a love song yesterday. And this man is basically telling this woman that you'd have to convince me that you want me gone from your life. Like, you'd have to preach it like a sermon, and I forget the name of the singer, and I think the song is Believer. And I remember thinking, what's it like to have someone fight for you like that? What's it like to have someone tell you you're not crazy? What's it like to be cared for? Like that. Now I know what it's like to feel loved unconditionally by women, where they're like, I don't care if you have money to pay me or not. You and I will go through everything together. I know what it's like to walk into an abortion clinic with a friend. And they're like, zero judgment. And they'll cook for you with their own money because they know you can't afford after you bought that pill. Yeah. I know what it's like to tell someone, I made this mistake with this man while he was engaged, married, etc. And to find safety, to find someone who's not going to tell you, oh my God, what did you do? No, to find someone who'll tell you, are you okay? How are you holding up? I know what it's like to find yourself without a place to stay, and the person who offers their house and a spare mattress is a friend you met in class at a class trip once, and you guys hit it off, and she's literally said, "You're not going to suffer while I'm in Germany. Come, get a ticket. If you don't have money for the ticket, tell me how much you need." Someone who loves you for free, someone who says, "You come here first and then we figure out the rest. I'm not asking for rent, I'm not asking for food, I'm not asking for money. I just want you here to know you're safe and right in front of me." That's the love I have felt from women in Germany. And then another one in the same chat saying, it's a chat of 3 people, saying, "Oh, and when you're done with her, you're coming to my place where I have an actual room for yourself." And then someone else, like, it's, when I tell you women show up, I feel like I know the best thing I've ever done for myself as a human being is to invest in my female friendships, to make the time to go see the new baby, to be in the delivery room, to consult either cheaply or for free with someone whose kid was presenting as on the spectrum and they were not sure to what degree, to walk with someone for 2 years until their nonverbal child is verbal. Man, when I tell you, even my clients are my friends, they're my people. They're people who, when they've had a rough week and they've come heavy and burdened, and they pay me double, because they're like, "Sharon, this was on top of health coaching, like a therapy session. I feel so good. I'm not going through my next therapy session because you've solved the thing. You helped me think things through. I will postpone it to next month." And because they value my time and skill set, they pay me what they would have otherwise paid their therapist, which is they basically pay me 2 times for the one consultation. And they also add, "And I know you're always helping out kids out here. You know, you're out here mothering with us." The women who wish me a happy Mother's Day are women who have kids and they know that I never needed to give birth to care for children. The ones I have a problem with are the super religious ones who have a problem with the LGBTQ plus community. Those are the ones I block. Those are the ones I have no patience for. Unapologetically, if they ask me, I'll tell them, "I don't like this. I don't like the talking and the judging and the refusing to do your own damn research on world events just because you believe in Jesus. You don't want to know about anyone else who believes different or doesn't believe in a higher power." I don't have room for bigoted people. I especially don't have room for people who are intolerant, either towards religious people or non-religious people. My patience has been wearing thin for cis-het white men and just cis-het black men, but just men in general. And the generalization isn't fair, I know. But as I said to someone, a man, men are not my target audience. Not anymore. They used to be. I used to engage in civic education. I used to be at the forefront of Black feminism brings along men. But then there are certain betrayals I have suffered at the hands of the very men I have sought to defend, advocate for, protect. And I've decided I've had enough. So my target audience now, even on this channel, primarily, as if it wasn't obvious from the beginning, is women, primarily women of color. Primarily women of color who are pro-choice, pro-pride, LGBTQIA plus friendly, 420 friendly, because I don't know what people's struggles are. I'm not going to judge them for smoking weed to manage their anxiety in a country where you can't even get an appointment with a psychiatrist for months. If you have a problem with any of this, just go, really, leave. But I am up to here with anyone who is judgy, mean, unkind, and doesn't have the capacity to love like I love and like I am loved. When I say be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a battle that no one knows about. Sometimes it's a losing battle. I have depression. There are days when I just want it all to end. And there are days when I think, what's this life for? And then I remember I have kids who call me mom. I have kids who call me sis. And I have a kid I need to go visit. I have school fees to pay. Oh God, I'm finally done with school fees. God be praised. I'm getting the receipts tomorrow. In fact, I went on that date, that Bumble date, after I received horrible news about someone I love. And then on the day I had finished paying school fees, and I had all of like 100 euros to survive the rest of God knows how long, because I don't even know if my former employer is going to pay me on the 15th. And then the thing with German banking, which pisses me off, you go to the supermarket, you make a payment, you forget about it because you've made the payment. In your head, you think that payment will be deducted immediately so that you're not planning for money you don't have. So one day, you have 150 euros. Then the next day, or after a couple of days or 2 weeks, actually it's less than 2 weeks, you're looking at your account, you're like, why do I have 55 euros? And you realize, oh, the purchase I made on this day was deducted 2 days after. And it messes with my head so much. I've decided I'll now have a buffer amount. I could not afford that buffer amount between June and now. But now that I'm done paying school fees, and of course it doesn't mean I don't have other bills, but it means the huge bulky payments are done. And when I tell you women are magic, my daughter is out there hustling. She's telling me, I have a cleaning job on this day. I was doing this, my back hurts. And I told her, baby girl, slow down. Don't turn out like me with back pain because you overdid it. Learn to do like me, who is older, Sharon 3.0, to quit a job because your body has just said, nah, this isn't it, sis. This is not it. So my boss was telling me about a job, and in my head I thought, in this October when it's raining and I have anemia and I'm cold even when I am indoors, this is the month you advocate, you're pushing me to apply for a job that will have me do deliveries outside where I struggle to put on shoes to go outside to get the sun, which I love because I have social anxiety. And because this person has grown up in hardship and they behave like the SI unit for suffering and sound just like it, I'm waiting for him to watch this and get mad and let me know. There are things I just don't bother to tell him because I'm like, I'm tired of telling you and I'm tired of hearing you say you're not sensitive. I am sensitive. Move on. If you can't move on, leave me alone. Really, like even with the job and everything, just leave me alone. In the house, just don't. Because unfortunately, I have learned after my relationship and because of my non-existent relationship with my father and because of the death of my grandfather, who his death could have been prevented if he was more vigilant with his health. Yes, look at me victim blaming. I've realized my brain does not does not have a setting for men reliable. It doesn't exist in my head. Reliable is women. Consistent is women. And I have said this severally, history generalization, not ashamed to make it. The one thing I have found men to be very consistent in is inconsistency. I'm glad I cried. When I cry, I get angry. I get angry enough to go like, I'm never going back there. And I've been crying quite a bit. I cried while cleaning classrooms. in the month of August. I cried. Oh God, I cried. I cried in September. I couldn't cry last week when I was forced out of a place I was sure I was going to have until February, January of next year. That's changed everything, including I'm thinking my plans to travel. What do I do? Because now I'm going to live in a more expensive house. I was saving money. Now that money I was saving, because this is Berlin, I'm going to be paying double, more than double the rent that I was paying before. Because someone just woke up one day and decided, I don't feel like extending my contract. And oh yeah, I didn't inform you, but I'm also going to take the keys and and wash my hands off of you, because now that I'm done with you paying me rent, because you're subletting, so paying me rent for me to pay off a certain loan, and I have a new life and a new job, and you kept my luggage for me, so now I can move at my own pace. Now that I'm done with you, I can go start my life, and then you go figure yourself out. She's a religious person, by the way. Jesus needs to talk to his people, but also I was going to say his people crucified him, so what's the point? I'm questioning a lot of things. A lot. I mean, I have no problem with God and Jesus himself. I just have a problem with everyone else who claims him. I don't have a problem with Islam. I just have a problem with certain Muslims. I don't have a problem with Christ. I have a problem with Christians. I just have a serious problem with the bigots, with the ones who want to control. Oh, and by the way, even for the agnostics and atheists, I have a serious problem with the ones who cringe every time I mention that I'm a believer. I have a serious problem with anyone who cannot look at things, accept two different stories, and just respect people who have a different belief system or value system from theirs. I have a serious problem with people who choose to make fun of Christianity, even when they know that that's something that people hold sacred. People who make jokes about Jesus and the Holy Prophet, and I have a fundamental problem. I have a problem with people who do not allow women to wear the hijab. Let women choose. And I also have a problem with people who want to have opinions about, especially men, who have opinions about women who don't wear the hijab and profess Islam. I just have a problem. I have a problem with people who are not gay but have opinions about how gay people should live. Because the interesting thing is, oh God, there's a man who shared a moving testimony of how he and his partner, he's gay, have adopted kids who were brought into the world by heroin addicts, I mean, drug addicts, and were brought into the world by people who could not, were teenagers when they got them, a mom becoming a girl becoming a mom at 14 or 16. So these gay men raise these kids. These kids are in their 30s now, fully functioning adults. And then the government of the US wants to say it's the, you have a problem with drug and people dressing in drag and people, you know, loving who they love and gay marriage. And you want to have a problem with all that. And yet, these people who are shooting kids in school are not gay or trans, like, and are not queer, are not lesbians. It's the straight ones. So who are they harming exactly? Stupidity doesn't make sense. Whichever way you try and turn it, it's like a piece of glass shaped like a diamond in the hands of a jeweler, like someone who's a value, a jeweler who's worked with jewelry. Sometimes you just need to hold it in the sun and go like this is trash, just hand it back to you. Those of us who have lived experience, those of us who have gay, queer, polyamorous loved ones, lesbians, trans people, like those of us who bother to try and learn about he, she, they, them without calling them the alphabet people. Those of us who do that, We are doing that because we just know that the world is an unkind place and it takes so little to just be kind. I think I'll finish it there. It takes so much more effort to be an difficult, mean person than it does to just smile back when a child smiles at you, wave back when a child waves at you, answer a question politely, show someone directions to a new place if they are new here, and just be kind. It's so little. Because trust me, from what I'm hearing from the nurses who care for dying people, you regret the nonsense things you did. You do. You regret those hard stances you had, like my rules. If those rules left you lonely, and the loneliness pandemic is real and it's hitting men, and I'm here for it. You know why? Because actions have consequences. Why is it predicted that up to 45% of women aged 22 to 45, 40 something, 40, I don't know, will be child-free and unmarried in a couple of years? I don't know if it's 2030 or 2040. Why do you think? If marriage is so incredible, why do you think we are opting out? If childbearing in heterosexual relationships is so magnificent, why are we opting out? Either you believe fundamentally we are all crazy or stupid, or you know we have finally seen the light. Peace to you all.